Tech Talk Live. It's Tuesday, August 26th, 6 p.m. here in Los Angeles. Welcome to Tech Talk Live. I'm Jack Armstrong.
At 9 p.m. in the DMV, I'm Sam Giacinto. And as Jack said, you're listening to Tech Talk Live. Before we get started, Tech Talk Live loves Before Sunset AI. Before Sunset AI is your AI productivity superhero. Use code Tech Talk Live for 3 months free to conquer your conquests. Give it a shot.
Absolutely. Well, moving on, we've got to do a quick recap and first impressions about the Pixel 10 launch. Pretty exciting stuff from Google this week. We've got new Pixel phones coming out with the announcement was pretty cool. I don't know what you thought of it, but definitely geared more towards normal, average, I'd say iPhone users, normal people with, smartphones that Google wants, you to switch to them. So they brought out Jimmy Fallon and, Peloton instructors, other famous celebrities to talk about switching to Pixel and how iMessage doesn't really matter, about the green and the blue. And I don't know, what were your thoughts on the what are your first impressions and your thoughts on the launch event?
Very fair. I mean, as you said, it was well produced. We had the Jonas Brothers, we had Jimmy Fallon, we had Lando Norris, we had a star-studded cast to announce, quite honestly, the best Pixel phone yet. I mean, so this is, and building on your other point, where we're at the point with smartphones where there are two types of customers, right? There's the kids getting a smartphone for the first time and the people who will switch their phone. So a lot of, the marketing and sort of the commentary was focused on, you know, this is how easy it is to switch, does it really matter? And perhaps a uniquely American thing, the iMessage kind of dominance and lock-in is something that was explicitly mentioned. The green versus blue bubble debate is so tired. There's so, it's so, overblown, right? Um, so again, next week we'll have a much clearer view and we'll be able to summarize a lot of the reviews that will come out after the embargo. But a very strong showing from Google and the most competitive Pixel yet, as far as you know you going toe to toe with kind of Apple's stagnation in the space. And then also, we can't neglect Samsung. I mean, they have the Z Fold 7, among other you know competition. So you know we'll have to see, but very compelling from Google. um if not, the best Pixel phone yet. So a lot to keep
Well,
an eye
yeah, I
on.
mean, and they're really going like right at Apple. I mean, not only the colors are very similar, but also, Pixel Snap, right? Which is, built for Qi 2 wireless charging, targeting MagSafe. So, those people that can't leave, their iPhone because, oh, well, MagSafe, it's so great to be able to just snap on a charger. So I think it's interesting to see that as well. And also don't forget the journaling app. I mean, even something so similar now, Google has their own version of something so simple, right? Like if you've gotten to and grown to love the journaling app in the iPhone, what I think that launched 2023. So if you've, if that's a reason you've got all these notes, I mean, hey, and journals, you can now do that in the Pixel as well. So it's, and again, with AI and Gemini and the Tensor G5 chip, I mean, I think it's never been more powerful. And you're absolutely right. It's the best Pixel we've seen. So we'll have more news when the phones are actually out. But these are, some first impressions from the launch event. And yeah, awesome stuff.
So diving in, you sent me this interesting article, about energy storage that is, well, quite fascinating for a few reasons, but I think the most being how novel it really is. Um,
Yeah.
I don't know what stuck out to you about it.
Well, so I feel like it's fascinating because battery storage, um, I mean, again, with no degradation. I mean, that's obviously very fascinating because obviously the more we use batteries, I are you familiar with dendrites? I don't know if you know how to describe that. Are you familiar with the concept of
No,
like
it's not actually.
yeah, it's kind of like I believe over time it's like the resistance between the positive and the negative ions. Long story short, there are these micro fractures, I guess you could say, in the batteries. Traditionally lithium ion, but long story short, yeah, this runs for decades with no degradation, clean energy storage, and it doesn't use lithium. So it's pretty crazy. Yeah, these are the air battery system, and it's really designed with minimal degradation. So they've found that the first facility that's going to use these should be coming in 2027 and 2028. And Germany has a lot of the potential here for scaling up, obviously, because battery storage is really the weak part in renewables. When we talk about seeing, well, great, yeah, we can use solar, we can do uh, you know, wind, but what happens when, you need peak energy at other times when the sun and the wind are not, going. So you really need to store that power to harness enough of a backup. So we haven't really seen a battery solution like this. I know, we might be familiar with Tesla, um, and obviously Tesla, has battery solutions, but I think this is salt and air. I mean, it's kind of crazy, and it's running with no degradation, clean energy storage, um, and yeah, designed to really be kind of the workhorse of battery storage facilities and really help the grid transition here. So this system is yeah, obviously extremely new. This just came out, but essentially it's utilizing a technology called hydraulic compressed air energy storage. So it's literally, think about it like air, I guess, that it's
It's a
compressing
giant natural air tank. It's a salt cavern
sort
that
of.
stores compressed air, which is really quite
Yeah.
it's often, these simple physical manipulations that, again, and we're looking at, 50-60% efficiency, which compared to a traditional battery far surpasses it. But it's just a giant tank of compressed air. So it's a relatively maybe simple in thought solution, but great efficiency, no degradation, and you can keep your compressed air for weeks or even months without any, impact to how much energy you have stored, which I think is another kind of fringe benefit of it.
Absolutely. Yeah, and long term, I mean, obviously, when the energy electricity is needed, the compressed air will be released to spin a turbine, and that's kind of what gets it going again. But yeah, very fascinating sort of solution, to a battery to storage, right? And I guess the reasoning. Do we know the reasoning why it needs to be in underground salt caverns?
So it appears, and don't know too much about German geology, but apparently these are relatively common in Germany. So these kind of buried salt voids, of air essentially, and surrounded by a salt deposit. So I guess this is just kind of a common geological feature that they're now sort of saying, hey, we can build this on top of really a lot of um
Mm,
you know essentially caverns, which kind of natural features of the environment there. um so just
gotcha.
utilizing what's around, it seems like.
Yeah, it makes sense. Yeah, it makes sense. I feel like well, great solution here to battery storage, and it'll be interesting to see. I mean, also Australia has huge needs for battery storage. They were, I believe, the first to deploy the Tesla battery storage systems, but this is quite innovative. So obviously longer lasting, more durable. Yeah,
Well, and from a resource standpoint too, right? With lithium ion batteries, you need to import material. There's a whole supply chain behind it. Whereas this, is essentially built with, all uh, German source materials, doesn't require any importation or any construction beyond that which is on the site and in the country. So that's kind of imperative too as we continue to fight over essentially these rare earth minerals required to construct batteries and the associated accessories that come along with them. Um, so kind of a neat innovation in that way, and something to keep an eye on.
absolutely. Yeah, I feel like sadly it always takes at least 5 years. I feel like for any significant changes in technology to get out there. I mean, we really need battery storage, though. I mean, hopefully this type of technology can be deployed faster in California and Arizona and Washington State. I mean, lots of countries, um, not only Germany and we'll see how it comes. But yeah, really cool air battery technology. Well, moving on, we've got another story from Meta about some new smart glasses we're expecting in next month, just a few weeks away. There's an event that we anticipate smart glasses with a screen. Pretty cool stuff.
So yeah, I mean, zooming out a bit, Meta has sort of been the undisputed, um, I guess, dominant player in the space, right? Like, in the terms, of smart glasses and kind of wearable technology. This has kind of been a sleeper hit for Meta. I mean, we're talking, revenue year over year up, 22% in this specific category. So sort of these Ray-Ban smart glasses and now a collaboration with Oakley. And as Jack, as you said, like this is only going to become more technologically advanced. Right now, uh, the glasses are purely a camera and speaker based interface, but now we'll essentially be seeing a screen in at least one of the lenses. Um, so it's kind of been a niche hit for Meta. Um, and honestly, one, it looks like they're really kind of drilling into a bit more. I don't know if they're making money on it per se. But again, I think they have that secret formula, partnering with a well-known brand. They're Ray-Ban glasses that look the part. It's not some, sci-fi-esque super gadget on your face. So we'll have to see if they can maintain that aesthetic. Um, with you know uh the newer glasses as well. And I think people enjoy that. They don't want to look like some sort of cyborg, but they don't mind that their glasses have a camera, but it needs to look, the appearance needs to, be dialed in.
Absolutely. Well, we see Oakley also. We've seen that Korean brand, Monster. What's the we talked about this before, I think. Gentle
That's
Monster.
the Google
Yeah,
partnership. So yeah, Google has partnerships with Warby Parker, Gentle
yeah.
Monster. These are kind of more niche brands. Meta has instead decided to
Go with
partner with
Ray-Ban.
Exotica, which is, by far the dominant. I mean, every more or less every designer eyewear brand you can think of is a Luxottica product. They've licensed nearly every designer eyewear brand you can think of. So Meta has that partnership. Right now, a very small stake, 3%, which, is a few $1 billion, but still, very tiny stake in Luxottica. And I guess they're looking to kind of become more of a strategic partner with the manufacturer. So by far, they have the strongest kind of brand lineup and partnership. Um, so again, something to keep an eye on because they could keep kind of driving that home and, acquiring more shares in Luxottica just to, become a minority shareholder or have a board seat. It's unclear how deep that strategic partnership will go.
Absolutely. Well, we also see, so this is Project Hypernova. And next week, or excuse me, I don't know if we believe, do we know when the Connect event is? Well, anyway, excuse me, Connect conference September 17th and 18th. So that'll be Meta's when they're expected to announce these. It is worth noting uh, the price target is Meta is intending to price them at $800 instead of 1,000. Obviously, we see the Ray-Ban Metas at 200 to 400, and its Oakley smart glasses are selling for 500. So these will have a screen in the right lens, sources are saying, and obviously Meta is trying to keep expectations low. The components required for the screen are very complicated, and it seems like it's going to make the glasses noticeably heavier uh, and thicker. So obviously, as everything, including smartphones, have gotten sleeker, slimmer, thinner, lighter, better battery, this might be a device that's more expensive for something that's clunky, heavy, and kind of not really worth it, especially with the resolution of the screen. Nobody's really talking about that either. Obviously, seeing notifications with a heads up display in your glasses is pretty appealing, but comes with its downsides. Obviously, heavier, and the screen, again, when it's in use, probably going to be draining the battery quite a bit faster. So, is it really going to be worth it at the end of the day? Again, really depends on a lot of factors. So, yeah, I mean, we don't see anything from Google yet, though. Yeah, the Gentle Monster, Warby Parker brands, obviously, goal of making an ever-present artificial intelligence. I mean, again, we don't really see this from them, but they've been a success. The Ray Bans, especially Meta Ray Bans, obviously extreme success. I think people like not only the transition lenses, but the speakers and the microphones, being able to take a call from your glasses and then walk outside and you've got sunglasses and walk inside and it transitions and then, oh, you've got a camera. Wait, what is this? Or I need to take a quick photo or video of something. And it's a 4K camera built in that can record clips. So they've been a big hit and they're pretty sleek and battery's decent. The case is nice. So it's a hit for people. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see these new glasses on the 17th and 18th at Meta's Connect event. And yeah, how good it really is. And also, if that price is 800, will people buy it for that price? It's a little steep, not as bad as 1,000, but still double the price just for a screen in the right lens. And again, I don't know if you found any information. I was doing a little research. I don't think we really know conclusively how the screen quality is going to be. So leaves a lot. I mean, if you already have the Meta Ray-Bans or the Meta Oakleys, maybe don't buy the new one. But if you're really, considering it, maybe hold off for the screen. And maybe if you can afford that and that's something you were going to spend anyway, if it's appealing to you to have a screen in the right lens, maybe hold off. But even realities, it's also worth noting. I don't have experience with these personally, but the G1 even realities glasses are pretty popular when it comes to the screen. and the prompter in the glasses. So I'm assuming it would be something like that. But we also see those at $600. So for them to be $200 more, you would expect the screen to be better. You would expect the screen to, yeah, have more features and not be green. I mean, if you look at the Even Realities G1 smart glasses, they're sleek looking. They look very, kind of like your glasses in a way, a little bit. And I don't mean that in a good or bad way. It's just, the style, like they're round, they've got the nice, on the side. Anyway, long story short, I don't believe you can change the color of the screen in those. So you're kind of stuck with that. So it'd be cool maybe if it's multicolor, but again, we really don't know until these come out. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of, innovation in the space. Um, it's kind of one of those things, this is a sector which is in its infancy versus smartphones, which are very well developed. There's still a lot of moving parts. Meta has the early movers advantage. Even realities, a lot of, new players, um, essentially are in the game. Um, so kind of an exciting time to be in the smart glass orbit.
Yeah. And I don't know. I mean, we saw the Pixel 10s. We don't really see uh, maybe early 2026. Do we see smart glasses? I don't know. I mean, we don't really know when to expect the Android XR and Gemini devices in the glasses. I mean, we've seen at Google I/O this year, we've seen a couple major updates, but we know they're coming, but easily going to be probably maybe the middle of next year. We don't really know. We don't really have dates on Google smart glasses. So yeah, Meta really is, how they do have an advantage here for being the first one to get to market.
We'll have to see how it shakes out.
Because like it's worth noting too, like Warby Parker has announced this partnership with Google, but again, it really just says Google's committed what $150 million to be in this partnership, and we're gonna use our technology, use Gemini to bring AI to your glasses, sign up here, for updates. And we're excited to develop this technology platform. Stay tuned next year. I mean, they don't really know when it's coming out. So they haven't really said much.
Very fair. Yeah, it just something we'll have to see. And maybe one day Apple will have a smart glass. Probably 2030 or 2035, I guess. I don't know.
You would expect every tech company to have kind of like you see with the watch, obviously like phones. I mean, I don't know if the watches will go away. That'll be very fascinating when we've got smart glasses that could also tell the time. Will we stop wearing watches and everybody will just be wearing glasses, smart glasses, you know?
Maybe. Um, I, it's yeah. I mean, it's kind of one of those things where I mean, it could be a new yeah, I guess just a new paradigm. Maybe it's just going to be a new device that we kind of get to know and experience over time. Kind of like the smartphone was a novel concept. I mean, the full format slab. Um, that was kind of a strange phenomenon. So I don't know.
And also um it's worth noting, Google killed the car project, you know?
Well, I think yeah, they may just be doing kind of Android Auto or something, just sort
Yeah.
of Like, let's not try. I think for a beat there, it was very popular for tech companies to kind of say, "Hey, we're building a car," but then it's like the realities of building a car much more difficult. It requires decades of discipline to do well. I think Toyota, and GM and Ford all know that. Um, so again, something to something to think about. It's not as easy. Don't go out and start a car company. Very difficult. I
Maybe
think
not.
it's a shame. I mean, Tesla's the only kind of startup company I've seen go from zero to actually having a saleable product, only to have it burned down again. So it's very, it's very, it's a difficult industry to make it in. And it's not just a casual, oh, we're going to build a smart car. It's like, great. Um,
Yeah. Who knows? Well, we've got a little bit more news that's we're following.
yeah.
Um,
One cool article I sent, and this is, admittedly kind of a weather nerd thing. But
Mhm.
Google's AI model essentially is at the point, so it's called Weather Lab, right? And it essentially is trained on a vast, basically all the weather that's ever happened up to this point. And it is a specialized database to track hurricanes. Hurricanes are very destructive. I think I'm honestly trying to think, but globally, I think the US is kind of uniquely positioned in a sense. I know there's typhoons in Southeast Asia and whatnot, but I just, again, from a hurricane perspective, I feel like the US is almost uniquely positioned in the path of these. But Google has essentially, created, you know, one of the best prediction algorithms thus far for monitoring the movement and sort of projected path of potential hurricanes, um, which you know essentially tracks with the most accurate and even more accurate than current physics-based approaches. Um, so it's it's quite incredible because when kind of plotted with the most recent storm, Hurricane Aaron, it has a larger or basically a smaller margin of error when it comes to the track error for essentially the first or the next 3 days, by a factor of like 10-20% more accurate than the most really the best model or physics based model, um which from from a forecasting standpoint, this is huge. um So I think in some ways it's time to take AI weather modeling a little bit more seriously. It's still very new, um, but its ability to consume and generate large amounts of data is extremely helpful in the weather field. Just because we have a huge amount of historical data that's hard to analyze in its entirety if you're not a computer. Um, so check it out. It's live at Google Weather Lab, and you can play with the map and predict, kind of see where hurricanes are traveling.
Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, not only beat the official track, but it bested a number of physics-based models. Yeah, really fascinating stuff here. So yeah, it's time to take AI weather modeling seriously, and this is another advantage of AI. I wonder how much energy and time it took, though. I mean, do we know? Like, is it important? Obviously, I mean, if it's more accurate, it can save lives. It can give more predictions, and I'm assuming more accurate alerts. Do
Yeah, no,
we
that's
know?
a great point.
Yeah.
Um, And I mean, I would honestly say, right, like the impact versus the resources expended. AI is very resource heavy. But again, if it can directly save lives, that's that places kind of the output of that at a much higher importance or level than a cat video or something. Compared to all the uses of AI, I would rank this near the top. I mean, I assume it consumed a lot of resources. The blog post by Google isn't necessarily specific, um, as far as how much energy it consumed, to generate the model itself. Um, so it's really quite it's interesting. They don't have specific. I mean, I guess there's a paper I will have to read.
I
Maybe
mean,
there's
it's definitely I mean, speaking of the environment and obviously the environmental impact of AI, we also it was just a thought, with well, compiling and processing all of this data, is it doing it efficiently? Like, I mean, obviously, it's a very good use of AI, but I feel like, is it doing a good job at like being efficient with all that data? Because when you say, oh, we're going to process, thousands of zip codes of weather data and very precise, I mean, again, this means not only temperature, this means wind speed, this mean like it's taking all of these data points from such a large region over the oceans, wherever, right? It's taking satellite images, it's compiling all of this, and then it's predicting its its forecast. It's really crazy. I mean, so this is a cool use of AI. However, to reach that, it just, makes you wonder, like, how many resources is it consuming, you know? And obviously, I think ChatGPT, people are aware of it. Obviously, generating videos, generative AI is very resource intensive, but I wonder, processing weather data at this scale, I wonder if there's research and data on the the AI resource usage and how intensive it is. But yeah, no, this is a really cool article, really cool story, worth keeping an eye on. And finally, yeah, taking AI, forecasting and weather modeling seriously. So cool find, awesome story. Good job, Sam, for finding that, bringing it to us.
yeah. And we'll have a ton of Pixel 10 news next week. The embargo will lift later in the week. So expect next week to be all about the Pixel 10 in some ways. We'll kind of summarize what we're seeing in a super cut of all the interviews. And then second week of September, we'll have the Apple event. That's fun,
Yeah,
right?
that'll be fun. We'll see how it compares. iPhone, new iPhones, new Pixels, really fascinating stuff. We're here every Tuesday, 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern, here on Tech Talk Live. Don't forget, visit us on the web, techtalklive.xyz, sign up for our mailing list, and subscribe anywhere you get your podcasts, techtalklive.xyz. And we're here every Tuesday. Join in on X, DM us any questions, join the conversation. We're always here geeking out. So yeah, thanks for listening.
Talk to you next week.